Home Affairs Minister Dr. Leon Schreiber set to deliver the opening address at the Electoral Reform Consultation Panel's two-day international conference. This gathering, in fact, the panel itself, I beg your pardon, was appointed last year with a mandate to independently investigate, consult and report on recommendations in respect to reforms around South Africa's electoral system. Watching the story is SABC News Reporter Natasha Phiri, who joins us now live. And Natasha, I think we're going to have to break this down a bit more because I don't think many people are really au fait with this particular panel. Let's take a couple of steps back as we understand what this gathering is about.
Thank you so much, Ayanda. You actually took the words right out of my mouth. So I want to take you back to 2020. You would remember there was that landmark judgment at the Constitutional Court that ruled that the Electoral Act of 1998, some parts of it was actually unconstitutional, right? So it then ruled that the Electoral Act of 1998 must be amended to allow for independent candidates, to actually contest in the national and provincial elections like we saw last year. And of course, to Ayanda, there were other reforms that were actually meant to actually change. So we then saw in 2022, I beg your pardon, the Electoral Amendment Act passed by the National Assembly, and then it focused on narrow reforms to satisfy the Constitutional Court's ruling. So, however, then there was then that clause that was added to the Amendment Act, for those who don't know, to provide for the establishment of a panel of experts. Now, that panel of experts, of course, is the Electoral Reform Panel, and to consider more expansive reforms, on electoral matters. Of course, then this panel was actually established last year in 2024, Ayanda, with the mandate to independently investigate, consult, and of course make recommendations in respect of potential reforms to the electoral system for the elections of the National Assembly. Now, we saw the work of this panel last year. It solicited a number of views, not only from the public, but from civil society, various political party organizations, of which we as the SABC did cover extensively. I remember Musi Maimani's Build One South Africa had made recommendations to this panel. The likes of the ANC and actually all political parties, which are actually represented here behind me, made recommendations to this panel. Now, so for those who don't know, the people were actually asked to actually make submissions to the panel. Of course, the deadline was last year in October the 1st. The panel, through Richard Sizani, its chair, then asked for extensions, which was the 31st of October. Of course, those recommendations were made. According to this panel, there were over 350 submissions that were made, Ayanda, to this panel. And of course, after this, the panel then consolidated them into discussion documents. And then there was a process of public participation that then started around November last year. And of course, that process has now come to an end. And after this, conference, or this panel conference, the two-day panel conference, then the submissions need to be made in Parliament on the 25th of May. So we'll be getting a feedback from the panel. And of course, like you cited there, the Minister, Leon Schreiber, the Home Affairs Minister, will be addressing this panel. We also do know that the Deputy Minister of Home Affairs will be here. You also have members of the IEC that are also in attendance, of course, and various other stakeholders like academia. We saw there last year, Ayanda, when making submissions, various civil society organizations had raised their concerns, but of course had also run their own consultation projects and had submitted their work to this reform panel. So we expect a lot to actually come out. Of course, this is uncharted waters, like I've been mentioning, and like I've said, a lot to be taken into account. We saw their independent candidates contesting in last year's elections, and we can expect a lot more, from this reform panel in terms of its submission. So I do implore our SABC News viewers to actually stay tuned. The program will be starting shortly, and of course, we'll give you all the latest in regards to that.
All right, and we look forward to that reporting. Natasha Phiri live to us there from Boksburg.